Trojans, Spartans, the Coliseum. Will you be entertained this Saturday?
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thanks for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every day. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube, wherever you want to download this podcast, this show is always going to be free. This show is always going to appreciate your support. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel right now. New customers, if you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. All right, as you can see, I got a special guest. His name is Scott Schrader. He's been on the show before. Friend of the show. We're going to talk to him here in just a second. So, Trojans, Spartans, inside the Coliseum. There's like a whole bunch of different movie references going on here. The Trojan Spartan, the Trojan Greek War, it happened a really long time ago. Long story short, the Prince of Troy, his name was Paris. He went over to the island of Greece, whatever it was called back then, took the king's little brother's wife-to-be, Helen of Troy, brought her back. Little brother got upset, told his brother, the king, hey, you got to restore family honor. And you had this war between the Trojans and the Spartans that lasted like 10 years. There was 1,000 ships. The war never ended until Greek shows up with a Trojan horse. And we all know what happened from there. So, this Saturday, USC is taking on Michigan State. Trojans versus Spartans. 2 undefeated teams, both 3-0. This isn't going to be a battle of, for the woman. This is about, taking the next step, staying undefeated. As far as USC is concerned, there's a huge game looming down the road against Illinois. Top 10 team, Illinois. They play Indiana this week. USC plays Michigan State this week. We'll talk about that game down the road. Scott, I need to ask you this question. I've been talking long enough. Michigan State, under head coach Jonathan Smith, when he was at Oregon State, they always caused problems for USC. Can he have that same effect with Michigan State, 8 p.m. kickoff at the Coliseum? How do you see this thing turning out?
I mean, it's going to be challenging for them to go to the Coliseum and beat USC. But, I think what you get with Jonathan Smith is you get a well-coached football team. They always had a great defense to go along with that. So, what they were able to do with the talent that they had at Oregon State was quite exceptional. So, guys like that, I just see them going and being successful no matter where they go. Because if you can prove you can do it with, not the elite talent, and you've got well-coached, fundamentally sound guys that don't get penalized, and the discipline is a big thing. They're going to come in with a really, really good running game and a quarterback that can run and also throw. So it's going to be a challenge they have not faced yet this year.
Yeah. Now, as far as their running game, I'm sure they have a stable backs. Their number one running back, Mekhi Frazier, this week he's kind of walking around in a walking boot. So we'll see if he's going to be available. Their best player on offense is probably sophomore wide receiver Nick Marsh. He's considered, a lot of people consider him a NFL day one draft pick. Right now, he's questionable. I have a feeling if he's breathing, he'll be playing. He's that type of player. But you brought up the quarterback, Aiden Childs. You watched him play in high school down there at Downey. He's got some mobility. He can use his legs. And we know a mobile quarterback that also has the ability to throw the ball historically has caused USC problems. Can Aiden put the Spartans on his back and can he make life difficult for USC?
I don't. Right now, with the pass rush that USC has, they are making things a little bit more challenging for the offenses that they're facing, also. So that's going to be a big factor and all. But he's a guy they're definitely going to have to worry about. And whether he can carry the team on his back, he will be kind of playing in front of his hometown. So there's always that added. We've talked to Ephesians Prysock about that at Big Ten Media Day about these guys come home and they're playing against USC, and it's like the Super Bowl on steroids for him. So he's going to be motivated, and I'm sure he's going to be carrying the team in some capacity with the energy that he brings.
Yeah. Here's where I come down with this. We know Jonathan Smith is a very good head football coach. He takes what he has and he doesn't try and fit them in. He doesn't try and take a square and put it in a round hole. Whatever he has, he works with it, and he has a system that works. It's a grinder. It's one of those, like you said, they're going to be fundamentally sound. They're not going to beat themselves. And if they have just enough talent to make things happen in certain areas, Jonathan Smith is really good at that. I know a lot of people would have loved to have him as USC's head coach back in the day, but now he's in East Lansing. We've watched USC's offense perform this year at a pretty high rate. I know they didn't score as many points on the road at Purdue as they did at home against Georgia Southern and Missouri State in game 1. I just don't know if Michigan State has enough offense. In other words, if they can't slow down USC, I don't know if they can play score for score with USC. Their best win on their schedule right now was against Boston College. That was in a double overtime victory at home in East Lansing. This past weekend, Stanford was winless. Well, Stanford beat Boston College.
Yeah.
So that has some Spartan fans wondering, maybe that win wasn't that great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like we saw with USC. You give up 45 points a game. It's going to be hard to win football games. So yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to score like that on USC. I mean, even with the guys that are out in the secondary and so forth, I just think that USC just has too much with that defensive line.
Yeah.
And they have too many guys that can keep coming in. It's not like USC's putting in a couple of guys and that's about it. I mean, we're talking about 6 to 8 guys are coming in. You have these young freshmen and Jakeem Stewart and Floyd Bucard,
Right.
that are making plays as true freshmen. So they've got a lot of guys there, and I think ultimately that's what's going to probably give USC a chance to win games on the road that they would absolutely not have won last year.
Sure, absolutely. And look, we've already seen a little bit of it. They were able to go into Purdue, pull out the win when they weren't really playing their best on offense. A lot of those drives ended in field goals, which typically isn't a good sign. But you brought up USC's defensive line. We'll close on this note for the segment. Oregon State's also missing probably their best interior offensive lineman going into this game. He was hurt last week as well. We saw what USC is able to rotate. You got Jamal Jarrett. You've got Keyshawn Silver. You brought up Jakeem Stewart. You've got Anthony Lucas, Cam Fountain, Braylon Shelby.
Devin Tompkins.
Yeah, Devin Tompkins. Thank you.
Yes,
I knew I was
yell at you for not saying his name, by the way.
I mean, I just don't know if Michigan State's offensive line is going to hold up as the game goes on because they just roll wave after wave after wave after you. And if Michigan State can't run the ball, that's going to make life really difficult.
No doubt.
So, all right, we got a couple more segments to go here. Next segment, we're going to talk about after 3 games what we've seen, some guys who have impressed us, maybe some things that have surprised us, and then Scott's going to give us a little bit of a treat in the 3rd segment. We got a big game. There's going to be a lot of recruits showing up. You might have some names that you're interested in. That's coming up next. It's almost the weekend, and it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can save every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. So I'm going to break it down for you. I've talked to you in the past about King Miller. Well, he took a week off. He didn't score a long touchdown run. Instead, this time, when you needed a 70-yard touchdown run, you call on 6'5", 360 pounds, defensive tackle, Jaw Jarrett, who just turned it up to 19 miles per hour, took the interception all the way in for the end zone for the defensive score. It was pretty impressive. He was dashing all the way there. So with DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. The promo period runs through November 18th. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers, if you can bet just $5, if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets that you can use across the app. I mean, hello, if you like to, if you're going to love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. You like to do those player prop bets? FanDuel does that. You want to build a same game parlay? Boom, you're in luck. Maybe you just want to jump into the action as it's unfolding. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, Scott. So you and I, well, you are with WeRSC 24/7, 365 days a year. So am I. But when I'm not there, I'm also doubling as a host over here at Locked On USC. When we're at WeRSC.com, we put together all these little, round tables, I guess we could call it. And this time, we're looking back at the first 3 games. We wanted to kind of look at, some of the things that caught our attention. If you had to pick an offensive MVP, and this, guys, if you have not subscribed to WeRSC.com yet, why not? That's the question. It's how much? 33 cents a day, and you get all of that VIP information that I can't talk about here. So right now you can spend $1 and you can get a VIP subscription. Check it out. And you're going to see all the content that Scott and Eric and myself and Chris Arledge and Greg Katz that we put together for you. With that said, Scott, I'm gun to head. All right. If you had to pick an offensive MVP through the first 3 games, who are you picking?
I mean, it wasn't a hard choice for me. It was Jade Mayava.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, you could say, well, Makai Lemon, he's put up a lot of yards after his catch. Jacoby Lane's got Velcro for a hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, you really have to give it to Jaden Mayapa right now. And it's not just the numbers he's putting up, it's how composed he looks, his decision making. And even though he's leading the country with passing efficiency and yards and all that kind of good stuff, 8 touchdowns, the best stat, interceptions, 0.
Yep.
And as long as he's doing that, as long as he stays in neutral, USC is going to be racing to the finish line. I love that. Same question, defense. Who would be your defensive MVP?
I mean, it was really another easy one, I think, for both, right? I mean, it was Eric Gentry. Now, and 3 weeks from now, it might be Floyd Boucard for all we know. But, after 3 games, if you're not choosing, Eric Gentry, I'm not sure what you're watching.
I cheated on this one. I knew if I had to pick one player, it was going to be Gentry, but I couldn't overlook how well the defensive line has played.
Okay.
And Bishop Fitzgerald, he's got 3 interceptions, and those 2 against Purdue were pretty timely.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, I'm cheating. Co-defensive MVPs through 3 games.
Yes.
What was your favorite offensive play that you've seen so far this year?
My reply was a little bit different. Mine were
I liked your reply.
Mine were the 4th down conversions in the last game. It's like finally Lincoln Riley is going for it on 4th and short. And I'll tell you what, on top of that, he ought to run more of those plays on 1st down.
Right?
It's like, what's wrong with gaining 4 to 6 yards on 1st down when you're having trouble running the ball for whatever reason? I think people shouldn't get too upset if he passes the ball under those circumstances.
No. I'll tell you what, that 6-minute drive to end the game, to essentially end the game against Purdue, fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Best play on offense. Where would you go?
Oh, you know what? That was my best play on offense. I gave you my wrong answer.
That's all right.
It was those 4th down conversions.
Okay.
I misheard you. What'd you say? What
Maybe I asked a question I wasn't paying attention.
Okay. All right.
I have other things on my mind right now, Scott.
Yes.
I'm doing my best to.
It was not a good night.
It's not been a good night. Anyway,
no.
I'll save that for my Friday vent.
Yes.
My Friday vent.
That's going to be a long one, folks.
Yeah. Keep the kids in the other room. Not safe for work environment.
Yes.
Mine is probably going to be Jacoby Lane's Velcro hand. I mean, that catch he had, that was insane. Who's your surprise contributor so far?
King Miller. Ding, 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 ding.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that is the only common sense answer. Coach
And
Riley.
you know what? They're lucky to have them. I mean, they're honest to God. I think they're lucky to have them.
Coach Riley kept saying, we see this guy do this in every practice. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Coach speak.
Yes.
Touches it one time against Missouri State, 75 yards. Touches it one time against Missouri, against Georgia Southern, 41 yards, touchdown. It's like, why isn't he have a scholarship and why isn't he starting?
Yeah, and he's good.
He was pretty pedestrian. He averaged only 7 yards a carry against Purdue.
Yeah, I know.
Off day.
Yes, USC can't run the ball.
Position group that's outperforming expectations. I think this is an easy one.
I don't even remember what I put for that one, but I mean the defensive line was, defensive line. Now look, we knew the defensive line was going to be better. I mean, there was like no doubt about that just by looking at the personnel. I mean, there was, and the guys that got older, right? You combine those two together, you knew it was going to be better. Second year in Antonlynn. But to lead the nation with 14 sacks and be probably a whisker away from having 20, that's crazy that they're and I don't care who they played in the first couple of games. It's not like they were walking through you and I. They were still pretty good football players.
Here's what people need to understand. USC's defensive line has been really, really, really good. Always 3 times for emphasis. They don't call holding in the big conference. And there was one play where you had 4 defensive linemen rushing. 3 of them were being held, and it is blatant, obvious. We talked to one of the coaches after practice, and he was like, he was a loss for words.
Yeah.
So my position group outperforming expectations, tight ends. I mean, Lake McCree, Walker Lyons, like, whoa, we've got tight ends all of a sudden. And just in time since Mark Bowman's showing up next year. So
yes.
Good time to get those guys showing
We
off.
told you all it was going to happen because of Mark Bowman.
There you go.
Yes.
If you had to pick a position group that's underperforming or not meeting expectations, where would you go?
I went with the defensive backs, but at the same time, 2 of the projected starters are not playing also.
Very true. Very true.
But at the same time, you still got a bunch of guys that have been working their way up and we're competing for that starting job. But I guess, the drop-off might be maybe a little bit more significant than we thought. But at the same time, it's week 3 and, these guys, I think this football team has looked better every game they've played. So if they can continue to improve at the rate they are right now, they are going to be in pretty good shape by the time they get to Illinois and host Michigan at the Coliseum. But that was my position group.
No, and that was my choice as well. And it wasn't just the secondary; it was more cornerbacks, and I think that's what we're both talking about.
Yeah.
And it's really a matter of them just getting in tune and figuring out where to line up, because the defensive line is creating so much pressure. They have to trust themselves that they're not going to get beat deep. They got to anticipate playing those shorter routes, and I think that's what people are wondering about.
Kamari Ramsey said today, I asked him about the pressure that the D line was getting, and he was like, damn, they got there that fast,
right?
Sometimes the defensive backs don't know because they're covering. At USC have been covering probably for about 4 or 5 seconds because they weren't getting a whole lot of pressure on the quarterback last few years. So it was impressive to watch what happened.
Yeah, so now it's just a matter of, we don't have to cover for 4 seconds. We only have to cover for 2.5.
Yeah.
Once they get that internal time clock working, I think their talent will start to take over.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Kamari Ramsey, when we were talking to him after practice, he didn't even get to see Josh Jarrett's interception. He and Devin Tompkins hit the quarterback so hard they kind of both hurt themselves.
Oh, wow.
They look up like, oh, there's Josh.
Yeah. I don't think anybody noticed that part. Sorry, guys.
All right. Here's a good question. Any preseason questions that have been answered for you?
That they can go on the road and beat a team in the Big Ten, outside of the state of California. But I think the composure part, just collectively, it's impressive how much better they are than they were a year ago with that.
Oh, without a doubt.
That
even
was another question that I had.
Yeah, even to the most untrained eyes, you can recognize that.
Yeah.
Right now. So, For me, it was easy. It was an easy call. Coach Riley's play calling in the fourth quarter with a lead, like I alluded to earlier. The fact that he leaned into that run game, it was almost one of those Mike Riley 9-minute Mike drives at the end.
Yeah, except they were down by 11.
Yeah, some of you who are old enough, you'll understand that reference. But I think USC had 15 run calls in that fourth quarter. And that last drive lasted 16 minutes. It basically said, Purdue, if you're going to beat us, you got to score 16 points now in the next minute and a half. I mean, Coach Riley even took the field goal rather than going for it on 4th and 2 at the goal line. He did the right thing. He was a conservative, take the points, make them beat us.
Yep.
So that was the difference, 16 points. What's your biggest question remaining?
It's going to come down to probably what we've been worried about as watching USC play for quite a few years. And, can they stop a team that can run the ball and has a very mobile quarterback who can run? And, I don't know exactly how many of those type players they're going to face, but I mean, I think it just comes down to that for me is can they stop the combination of that and can they contain the edges? That's all a big part of it. And I think the answer is going to be yes. I mean, they just have better guys out there right now, and they have guys that can move extremely well. And I think that setting the edge is something that these guys, they spent a big focus on that at USC. And I think even against the lesser teams and then even against Purdue, you can kind of see that they're doing a good job of that right now.
Yeah, if USC can, just somehow, because that's been an Achilles heel of USC for, I don't care who the head coach is.
Yeah.
I mean, Pete Carroll's team struggled with that. All I have to do is say the name Vince Young, Frosty Rucker, contain the edge. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
he was probably tired though. In that game, chasing Vince Young for an entire football game.
I know. Look, I'm not holding it against Frosty. There was
I knew you weren't.
Went wrong in that game. It was just all right. Get over it. For me, it's just seeing now USC beat a quality ranked opponent. I think that's all that's left. Once they check that box, I don't know if you're going to stop this team because they're going to have all that confidence and it's going to snowball. So that's it for me. All right, one more segment. This is where we put Scott on his chair. He gets to talk. We got some recruiting coming up. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety picks plus awards than anyone else, and that's as of August of 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. With all-wheel drive, standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Excuse me. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Spit that one out. All right, Scott. We got a big game, as I alluded to. USC taking on Michigan State. Prime time, 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 11 p.m. out there in East Lansing. Folks, none of us like this kickoff time. With that said, there's going to be a lot of people in the stadium, including a lot of recruits. Drop some names. Who's going to be there?
Well, they got a couple of official visitors. They've got a guy named Safa Saki from I forget the city he's actually from. He's from Ohio though, and he's a guy that could come in and play edge or tight end. So they're actually recruiting him as an athlete, which is not something that we often say when we're talking about USC recruiting. And ironically, there's another guy that's coming in from Texas and another athlete and Antoine Baker. And he is coming in, they're looking at him as a cornerback, safety, or a wide receiver. So these are like legit two-way players. So those are the official visitors that are coming in for the Michigan State game. They've got like 14 commits from the 2026 class that'll also be there, and then some of the top 2027 targets, local guys and out of state. They got Khalil Terry from Tustin. He actually, ironically, decommitted from Michigan State. and he'll be there with Gavin Williams, a safety from Damien High School, and another big time kid that's coming in is KJ Green from Stevenson High School, just outside of Atlanta. I think it's Stone Mountain area.
Okay.
He's leading the nation in high school football with 13 sacks. So he's coming in. He spent a day at USC in the spring. So those are kind of like the headliners coming in. There's more guys that we're talking about at We Are SC, but if I had to kind of name a few notable guys, those are the few that I can think of off the top of my head.
Let me ask you this question, just kind of off the cuff. We know there's some turmoil going on over there at UCLA. Is there anybody in their class that's committed or recently decommitted that USC should, maybe, send out a feeler? Well, not they can't, but is there anybody USC should be interested in? I guess is the best way to put it.
There really are. It comes down to USC's got 32 guys committed right now in the class of 2026. They've got 2 guys that are going to be on campus. For all we know, they could be the 33rd and 34th commits. So they're not. It all depends on positions. I mean, UCLA had some guys. I mean, they had the number 25. I think it was number 25, maybe even 23 ranked recruiting class. Yeah. So I mean, they had guys, and right now there's an offensive lineman that decommitted. And I mean, I think he's lining up visits to Texas, Oklahoma, Florida State, Alabama, and places like that. So I mean, he was a highly pursued guy that UCLA was getting in that, and I think they've got a few others, but we'll see how many more guys maybe decommit coming up in the upcoming weeks. But it's not a good situation in Westwood right now. I'm sure USC fans will be sad to hear that.
Yeah, I see that Jerry Seinfeld meme. It's a shame.
Yes, shame.
What did you think about Booby Feaster putting out that message on social media?
Well, I've always thought in the past that there was a lot of stuff, and this comes in before the social media age. I didn't think the guys maybe talk to each other on the phone or whatever they might do. And with social media, I mean, this kind of stuff just it puts rumors to bed for the most part. There's going to be somebody that's going to bring up rumors every time I hear something, I heard this, I heard that, right, and stuff like that. But I mean, I personally like the way that he operated in this case, to where it just kind of lets everybody know, look, I'm hearing about the rumors, and then they were hearing about Oklahoma, and they were hearing about stuff even before he committed to USC. That nobody thought it was going to be USC until maybe a week before he announced his commitment. So I like this. I know this is probably, it could be potentially Chad Bowden just making sure that put things to bed like that. But I just like the way that the recruits are supporting each other on social media too. I think this is all tied together with that. And, even the USC football players are far more active than they ever used to be on social media, retweeting stuff that the football page is putting out and stuff like that. So I think this is all just part of how they operate now.
Yeah. I think everybody was concerned with it because everyone said, well, Peyton Houston is the quarterback USC's going after. Those two said, we're playing college football together. And all of a sudden Peyton's committing to LSU. And everyone's like, oh, that means we're losing Booby. The sky's falling. And
naturally.
A few days later, but it was like, hey, you know what? I'm my own guy. Don't listen to me. Listen to me. So I love the message that they put there. I really did. All right. Before I let you go, which high school game you going to this weekend? Who are you looking at?
Well, tomorrow, Thursday night, there's actually a good game. It's Orange Lutheran versus Sierra Canyon at Orange Coast College. So that's the game that I'm looking at for that. I have not chosen a game for Friday night. I had at one point thought I was going to be in Las Vegas watching Bishop Gorman and Modern Day. With USC having that 8 o'clock game on Saturday, I thought, well, I can go to a game in Vegas. Get back. It's not going to be that hard to get back. An hour flight and stuff. But so anyway.
All right. So if you're heading out to Orange Coast College tomorrow night, you check out Sierra Canyon versus Olu and give Scott a wave. Say hi.
Yes.
All right, Scott, I want to say thank you very much for doing this. You're helping me out more than you know, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Everybody else will find out on Friday's episode in the third segment with my Friday rant. But I will also have MVP Marvin Powell III. He'll be joining us as well later this week. We'll do our own little preview of the upcoming game. I'm telling you, keep an eye on Marvin. He's going to be really good at this. In fact, he's trying to do his own show eventually. And one last thing, we ran into Marquise Lee at practice today. And let me tell you, that dude is more than just football. Everyone remembers him about what he does on the field. Marquise Lee is going to be making some significant contributions to players in the future, but on a different level. And I'll talk more about that with you. Go ahead. No, interject.
If you're going to talk more about it, but I mean, let's make sure people understand that he's back at USC this semester, taking 3 classes to get his degree in sociology, and so he will be a USC graduate here in the very, very near future. And yeah, he's a guy that's looking to give back to people in a positive way, and it's quite. We're also going to have him on.
Yeah, talk about your show. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Tell everybody where they can find you and what you have coming up, because I'm really excited to watch those as well.
Well, we're at wearesc.com.
That's right.
And we're going to resurrect it. My old man used to do a column called Yesterday's Trojans. And, what he would do is he would hook up with some guys that played at USC years ago. And, it didn't have to be many, many years ago. And I think USC fans had found it of great interest. And so if we're going to resurrect that, and our first guest is going to be Chris Claiborne, and number 2 is going to be Marquise Lee, and then we'll go from there.
So you got number 55, and you've got the Bolitnikoff Award winner.
That's it.
Dude, I guess you don't settle for scrubs.
We've got a great booking agent.
Scott, thank you again for doing this. Much appreciated. I know the fans are always asking, hey, get Scott back on. He can talk recruiting.
Yes. Yeah. Probably going to have a lot to talk about after this weekend.
Absolutely. So that's another reason. Spend your 33 cents. Go check out wearesc.com. It is worth it, and you'll be glad you did. All right. I'll be back again with another episode of Locked On USC tomorrow. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.